In the Mafia, every deal is a gamble. Some bring fortune, others bring death. This is the story of the deal that almost got me killed. My name is Antonio the Watchman Bellini, and for 15 years I thought I knew every trick in the book, every angle, every betrayal, every way a man could smile at you while planning your funeral. I was wrong. Because on a freezing February night, in a warehouse that smelled like rust and rat poison, I learned that the most dangerous deals aren't made in boardrooms or back alleys. They're made with men you think you can trust. And trust will put you in the ground faster than any bullet. It started with a phone call. Tuesday morning, 7 a.m., too early for good news, too late to be an emergency. That's the time when opportunities knock or when traps get set. The voice on the other end was smooth, professional, the kind of voice that sells you insurance or, in our world, something far more valuable. Mr. Bellini, my name is Vincent DeMarco. I have a business proposition that might interest you. I should have hung up right there. Vincent DeMarco, not a name I recognized. And in this life, unknown names are red flags wrapped in razor wire. But he had my private number, which meant someone vouched for him, someone in my circle. I'm listening, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Never show interest too quickly. That's negotiation 101. I represent a group of investors from Philadelphia. We have a shipment coming through your territory next week. Electronics, high-end merchandise. We need local protection, and we're willing to pay premium rates. It was supposed to be simple. A shipment, a handshake, a profit. The kind of deal that keeps the empire running. The bread and butter of our business. Protection, money in exchange for safe passage through territories we controlled. What kind of premium? I asked. $50,000 for one night's work. All you have to do is make sure our trucks get from the port to the interstate without any complications. $50,000 for babysitting some trucks for 6 hours. It was good money, too good maybe, but not unheard of. High-value shipments paid high-value rates, and if these Philadelphia boys were moving the kind of electronics that fell off trucks in interesting ways, well, they'd want serious protection. I'll need details, I said. Routes, timing, how many vehicles. Of course, can we meet? Tomorrow night. I'd prefer to discuss the specifics in person. In our world, nothing is ever simple. But I was running an empire. My expenses were high, my soldiers needed paying, and legitimate opportunities to make clean money were getting harder to find. The feds were watching everything. The IRS was auditing everyone. A simple protection deal. That was the kind of business I could do in my sleep. Tomorrow night, I agreed. Giovanni's Bistro, 9 p.m., come alone. I'll be there, Mr. Bellini. Thank you for your time. He hung up before I could respond. That should have been my second warning sign. I called Tomas, my underboss, told him about the call, asked him to do some digging on Vincent DeMarco and whatever operation he was running out of Philadelphia. You trust this guy? Tomas asked. I don't trust anyone, I replied. But $50,000 for one night's work, that's worth investigating. Just be careful, boss. Something about this feels off. Tomas had good instincts, better than mine sometimes. He'd kept me alive through 3 attempted coups and 2 federal investigations. When Tomas said something felt off, it usually was. But greed is the deadliest partner of all. And I was greedy enough to take the meeting. Vincent DeMarco walked into Giovanni's Bistro at exactly 9 p.m. He was younger than I expected, mid-30s maybe, tall, athletic build, expensive suit that fit too well to be off the rack, dark hair slicked back, sharp jawline, eyes that moved constantly, cataloging exits, counting my security, calculating odds. He looked like a businessman, but he moved like a soldier. The man I was dealing with looked me in the eye, but his smile didn't reach his soul. "Mr. Bellini," he said, extending his hand. "Thank you for meeting with me." I shook his hand, firm grip, dry palm, no nervousness. That was good. Nervous men make mistakes, and mistakes get people killed. We sat at my usual table in the back corner, private, secure. My two guys positioned at strategic points in the restaurant. Vincent came alone, as instructed. "So," I said, lighting a cigar, "tell me about this shipment." Vincent laid out a folder. Inside were manifests, route maps, delivery schedules, professional, detailed, the kind of paperwork that makes deals feel legitimate. "We've got 4 trucks," he began, "coming through Port Newark next Thursday night. They'll be carrying high-end electronics, laptops, phones, tablets, street value around $2 million. We need them moved from the port to I-95 without interference. And you chose my territory because you control the routes we need, because your reputation ensures no one will touch our trucks, and because," he paused. His words were smooth, but his hands trembled. "We're willing to pay what you're worth." There it was, the tremor in his hands, barely noticeable, a slight shake when he reached for his water glass. I'd seen it before, the look of a man hiding something. In the Mafia, secrets are bullets waiting to fire. "What aren't you telling me?" I asked directly. Vincent's smile faltered, just for a second, but I caught it. "I don't know what you mean, Mr. Bellini. Your hands are shaking, you're sweating, and you keep looking at the door like you're expecting someone to walk through it." I leaned forward. "So let me ask again, what aren't you telling me?" He set down the water glass, composed himself. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. "The merchandise, it's not exactly legitimate. It was acquired through unofficial channels. We're moving it quickly to avoid certain complications." Stolen goods, that explained the premium price and the nervousness. "Complications with who?" I pressed. "Let's just say there are parties interested in recovering the merchandise. We need protection not just from local trouble, but from people who might try to intercept the shipment." "You're not from Philadelphia at all, are you?" Vincent's smile returned, colder this time, more honest. "Does it matter where I'm from, Mr. Bellini? You're being paid to ensure safe passage. The details of our operation shouldn't concern you." He was right, in a way. Protection money was protection money. We didn't ask questions about what we were protecting, just who we were protecting it from. But something in my gut was screaming at me to walk away. Tomas's voice echoed in my head. "Something about this feels off." I should have listened. Instead, I said, 75,000. "And I want half up front." Vincent didn't hesitate. "Done. I'll have the money delivered tomorrow." We shook hands again. The deal was made. But as Vincent walked out of Giovanni's, as I watched him disappear into the night, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just agreed to something far more dangerous than a simple protection job. The next day, Tomas came back with information. "Boss, I can't find anything on Vincent DeMarco. No criminal record, no business licenses, no property ownership. It's like the guy doesn't exist." "What about Philadelphia connections?" "Nothing. I reached out to our contacts there. Nobody's heard of him. Nobody's moving high-end electronics through our territory. This guy's a ghost." My blood went cold. Ghost identities meant one of 3 things: federal agents, rival families, or independent operators so dangerous they lived off the grid entirely. "Cancel the deal," I told Tomas. "Already tried. The money arrived this morning. $37,500, cash, delivered by courier, no return address, no way to contact Vincent DeMarco. Once you take the money, you're committed. That's the code. You can't back out without looking weak, without breaking your word. And in our world, a broken word is a death sentence to your reputation." I was trapped. And somewhere, Vincent DeMarco knew it. Thursday night, 11 p.m. We met at an industrial warehouse on the edge of my territory, the kind of place where deals happen in shadows, where the only witnesses are rats and rust. The building was massive, 3 stories of corrugated steel and broken windows, dim lights flickering overhead, casting shadows that seemed to move on their own. I brought 8 guys, more than necessary for a simple protection job, but after Vincent's identity came up empty, I wasn't taking chances. Tomas stood to my right, Paulo the Ram Cardoso to my left, the others spread out in a loose perimeter, hands near weapons, eyes scanning the darkness. Vincent arrived at 11:15, late enough to make a point, early enough not to be disrespectful. He wasn't alone. 4 men with him, dressed like contractors, but moving like soldiers, combat boots, tactical jackets, the kind of guys who knew how to handle themselves in bad situations. "Mr. Bellini," Vincent called out, his voice echoing in the empty space. "Right on time." "You're late," I replied. "Traffic," that cold smile again. "Shall we proceed?" The deal was laid out. 4 trucks would arrive within the hour. My guys would escort them through my territory to the interstate. Vincent's guys would take it from there. Simple. Except nothing felt simple anymore. Vincent had a briefcase. He opened it, revealing stacks of cash. The remaining $37,500. "Count it if you'd like," he offered. "I trust you," I lied. As I reached for the briefcase, I heard footsteps. Too many footsteps. From the darkness at the far end of the warehouse, men emerged, 10, 12, maybe 15, armed, organized, moving with military precision. It wasn't a deal. It was an ambush. Tomas's hand went to his gun. "Boss." "Nobody moves," Vincent said calmly. His 4 guys had drawn weapons, not pointing them at us yet, just holding them ready. The men from the shadows fanned out, surrounding us in a loose circle, not close enough to be in immediate danger, but close enough to ensure we couldn't escape without a firefight. My heart was hammering, but I kept my voice steady. "What is this, Vincent?" He closed the briefcase, tucked it under his arm, that smile never wavering. This is business, Mr. Bellini, just not the business you thought you were conducting. You want to rob me? $75,000 isn't worth starting a war." "Rob you?" Vincent laughed, actually laughed. No, we're not here for money. We're here for something far more valuable." He snapped his fingers. One of his men stepped forward, holding a folder. Vincent took it, opened it, pulled out photographs. He tossed them at my feet. I didn't need to pick them up to know what they showed, but I did anyway. Pictures of me, my family, my businesses, my home. Surveillance photos taken over weeks, maybe months. Every detail of my life documented and cataloged. "You see," Vincent continued, "my employers have been watching you for quite some time. They're very interested in your operations, your territories, your connections. Who do you work for? Does it matter? Let's just say. There are people who believe your empire would be better managed by someone else, someone younger, someone more adaptable to the changing times." Dante. This was Dante Rossetti's play, the young boss who'd been challenging my authority for months. He'd hired these guys, mercenaries, contractors, whatever they were, to take me out. Not with bullets, with fear, with intimidation, with a demonstration that even in my own territory, even surrounded by my own men, I could be reached. "So what's your play?" I asked. "You kill me. My guys kill you. Everyone dies in this warehouse and the cops show up asking questions nobody can answer." Vincent shook his head. "No killing. Not tonight. Tonight is just a message. Consider it a demonstration of vulnerability. Your organization is strong, Mr. Bellini, but it's not invincible, and the people I represent wanted you to know that. Then deliver your message and get out." "The message has been delivered. You're standing in it." Vincent gestured to the men surrounding us. "But before we go, there's one more thing." He pulled out a phone, dialed a number, put it on speaker. A voice came through, distorted, electronically altered, but I recognized the cadence, the speech pattern. "Dante." "Antonio," the voice said. "I hope you're enjoying your evening. This is just the beginning. Every deal you make, every move you take, every breath you breathe. I'll be watching. Your empire is crumbling, and when it finally falls, I'll be there to pick up the pieces." The line went dead. Vincent pocketed the phone. "The trucks won't be coming, by the way. There was never a shipment, just a way to get you here, to show you that your protection means nothing when the predator is already inside your walls." He turned to leave, his men backing away slowly, weapons still trained on us. "Vincent," I called out. He stopped, turned. "This won't end well for you, or for whoever's paying you." That smile again. "Perhaps, but tonight we won, and that's all that matters in this business." They disappeared into the darkness. Engines started outside, vehicles drove away. And I was left standing in that warehouse, surrounded by my men, holding photographs of my family, realizing that for the first time in 15 years, I'd been completely outplayed. "Boss, we need to move, now." Tomas's voice cut through my paralysis. He was right, this could still be a kill box. Vincent's demonstration could be a distraction, while real shooters positioned themselves for an ambush. "Everyone out," I ordered. "Stay tight, watch the shadows." We moved as a unit toward the exit, fast but controlled, weapons drawn, every sound amplified in the darkness. The warehouse had 3 exits. We'd come through the main entrance, but there was a side door that led to the loading docks, and a back exit that opened to the alley. "Paulo, take 2 guys and check the back," I said. "Tomas, you're with me. Everyone else cover the main entrance." Paulo moved quickly. Professional. Years of experience turning him into exactly the kind of soldier you wanted in moments like this. 60 seconds later, his voice crackled over the radio. "Back exits clear. No hostiles." "Move the cars to the loading dock," I told Tomas. "We go out the back." As we moved through the warehouse, I couldn't stop thinking about those photographs. My wife, Gabriella, leaving the grocery store. My daughter, Isabella, at her college campus. My son, Rafael, at the gym. Every person I loved, documented, surveilled, marked. This wasn't just about business anymore. Dante had made it personal. We reached the loading dock without incident. The cars were waiting, 3 black SUVs, armored, bulletproof glass, the kind of vehicles that had saved my life more than once. I climbed into the back of the lead vehicle. Tomas got in beside me. Paulo took the front passenger seat. The driver, Miguel "Ice" Santos, had the engine running before my door closed. "Where to, boss?" "Home. I need to make sure my family is safe." As we drove through the dark streets, as the warehouse disappeared behind us, my phone rang. Unknown number. I should have ignored it, but something made me answer. "Antonio," that electronically distorted voice again. "Dante, I trust you received our message. You made your point. Now let me make mine. You come after my family, and there won't be enough pieces of you left to bury. Relax, your family is safe. For now, I'm not interested in hurting civilians, but I needed you to understand something." A pause. "You can't protect everyone, you can't be everywhere, and sooner or later, you're going to have to make a choice. Your empire or your family, your pride or their safety." "I'll kill you for this," I said quietly. "Maybe, but not tonight. Tonight you learned a valuable lesson. In this life, Antonio, survival isn't about strength. It's about knowing when you're beaten." He hung up. I stared at the phone for a long moment. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my wife. "Antonio," Gabriella's voice was worried. "It's almost midnight. What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, mi amor. I just needed to hear your voice." "Are you okay? You sound." "I'm fine. Is Isabella home?" She's upstairs, studying, and Rafael's in his room. Antonio, you're scaring me. What happened? I'll tell you when I get there. Just lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone except me. Understand? Antonio, promise me. Okay, I promise. Just come home. I will. Te amo. Te amo también. I hung up and looked at Tomas. His face was grim. This changes things, he said. Yeah, it does. What do you want to do? I thought about Vincent DeMarco and his mercenaries, about Dante and his electronic threats, about the photographs and the surveillance and the demonstration of my vulnerability. And I realized something that made my blood run cold. The deal was never about money. It was about power, about testing my strength, about proving that even the great Antonio Bellini, even the Watchman, could be reached, could be scared, could be beaten. And I learned a lesson I'll never forget. In the Mafia, the deadliest deals aren't made with cash. They're made with trust. And trust will kill you faster than any bullet. I survived that night, but barely. Not in the physical sense. No one died. No shots were fired. In that way, it was the quietest ambush I'd ever walked into. But something died in that warehouse. Something I'd built over 15 years of blood and sacrifice. My sense of invincibility. For a decade and a half, I'd operated under a simple belief. In my territory with my men, surrounded by my power, I was untouchable. The Watchman, the king of the West District, the man who'd survived wars and coups and federal investigations. One phone call from a ghost named Vincent DeMarco, and that belief shattered like glass. I sat in my study that night long after my family had gone to bed, a glass of whiskey in my hand, the photographs spread across my desk, evidence of my failure. Tomas had suggested we go after Dante immediately, hit him where he lived, make him pay for the disrespect. But that's what he wanted. That's why he'd sent contractors instead of his own men. He wanted me to retaliate, to escalate, to start a war that would give him justification to come at me with everything he had. You're thinking too much, boss. I looked up. Tomas stood in the doorway. Thought you went home. Couldn't sleep. Figured you couldn't either. He walked in, poured himself a drink. You know what you need to do. What's that? Show strength. Hit back twice as hard. Remind everyone why you're the boss. And risk my family in the process. Tomas was quiet for a moment. Then, you've risked your family before. That's part of this life. That was different. Those were calculated risks, known enemies, predictable patterns. I gestured to the photographs. This is something else. Dante's not playing by the old rules anymore. He's bringing in outsiders, mercenaries, people who don't care about the code, about tradition, about anything except money. So we adapt. To what? Becoming like him. I shook my head. I built this empire on loyalty, on respect, on men who stood together because they believed in something bigger than themselves. If I start hearing mercenaries and contractors, if I start playing Dante's game, then what's the fucking point? I'm just another tyrant holding power through fear. Better a living tyrant than a dead idealist. He had a point, he always did. But sitting there in my study, looking at pictures of my wife and children, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd already lost something irreplaceable. The certainty that I could protect what I loved. You know what the worst part is, I said quietly. I saw it coming. Every red flag, every warning sign, every instinct screaming at me to walk away. And I ignored them all because of greed, because $50,000 seemed worth the risk. Greed keeps empires running. Greed gets emperors killed. I drained my whiskey, poured another. Tomorrow, I want you to do something for me. Name it. Find out everything about Vincent DeMarco, not the ghost identity he used, but who he really is, where he came from, who trained him, who's paying him. I want to know if he's military, private security. Or something else entirely? You thinking of hearing him? I'm thinking of understanding him, because guys like that, they're the future of this business, and if I don't learn how to fight them, I won't survive long enough to fight Dante. Tomas nodded. I'll start in the morning. He left. I sat alone with my thoughts and my whiskey and my photographs. Dawn was breaking when I finally went to bed. Gabriella was asleep, her breathing soft and steady. I lay beside her, watching her in the gray light, and made a promise. Whatever it took, whatever I had to become, whatever deals I had to make or lines I had to cross, I would keep her safe, keep Isabella and Rafael safe, keep my family protected from the chaos I'd created. Even if it meant becoming the monster I'd always fought against. Because in the Mafia, survival is the only victory. And I wasn't done surviving yet. This was the deal that almost ended me. Not with bullets or blood or dramatic gunfights in the street, with photographs, with fear, with the slow, creeping realization that the world I'd built, the rules I'd lived by, the power I'd accumulated, it could all disappear in a heartbeat. Dante wanted me to know I was vulnerable, mission accomplished. But he made one critical mistake. He let me live. And a wounded king, that's the most dangerous animal in the jungle. The war was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. If you want to know what happened next, how I fought back, and the price I paid for survival, subscribe to VoxNarratio. Because the family story, it's only getting darker from here.